What's up? I'm Karama Horne, aka theblerdgurl. I'm also integrated marketing lead over at Line Forge Entertainment. And I'm going to introduce these lovely gentlemen, but I'm kind of going to do what they do on the plane. This is the comics to cartoons, adapting sequential art to the screen. This is not the panel you want to be in. You can get up and go now, but please don't. Just want to make sure that in case they wanted to see something else, I don't want to hold anybody hostage. Today we're going to talk about not just adapting comics to animation, but also to live action. And we hopefully will get some good questions out of you all also. I've also been told that we're the last panel in here, so we can stay as long as we want. Don't worry, I'm not gonna keep going here all night, I'm hungry. So with me today, all the way on the end, is Roye Okupe. Roye is born in Lagos, Nigeria. Roye is an award-winning filmmaker, screenwriter, author, and founder of Unique Studios. In 2021, Unique landed a 10-book publishing deal through Dark Horse Comics, which was later extended by an additional 20 books in 2021. He's created an original line of superhero and fantasy stories for them, and from this line, his title, Iyanu, Child of Wonder, was greenlit as an animated series at HBO Max Cartoon Network, with Line Forge Entertainment producing, and Roye serving as creator, executive producer, and showrunner. Okay, Roye. Shameless plug, Iyanu, you can stream the first 10 episodes of all of season 1 on Max right now, and all summer you'll be able to watch reruns on Cartoon Network at 2:30 p.m. on Sundays. I'm the marketing leader, I do that part, sorry. I got it. Listen, mortgage is expensive, I need to pay for this. This is New York, I live here. Next up, we have David Crownson of Kingwood Comics. Born and raised in Frenchtown, New Jersey, David Crownson is an actor, producer, and writer. He's the writer-creator of Harriet, Tubman, Demon Slayer, published by his company, Kingwood Comics. This best-selling comic is soon to become a Disney television series produced by Prentice Penny. You might remember him as the showrunner of HBO's Insecure and Netflix Court. Another one of his titles, Killer Bee, is being adapted to the big screen by Confluential Films, starring Jurassic World Dominion star Zawanda Wise. The screenplay adaptation will be written by the legendary Terry Rossio and Kevin Arbouet. Arbouet, sorry. They wrote Pirates of the Caribbean and Shrek. So, welcome, David. So we've just met them, and we're gonna keep their names up for a minute. Now, Roye, you're originally from Nigeria, and David, your family's from Ghana. So
yes.
Whose jollof is better?
I
told y'all to
World War III begun.
Stay here all night.
I've had both. I enjoy both.
No, come on, man. Nigeria all the way.
They really are making this.
Because I think
See, that's how it's so confused. You can't compete. That's why that's the answer right there. You don't even know what to say.
I like both for different reasons. Why I gotta be versus?
Oh wow.
Why I gotta be versus? Why it's so separatist?
I'm bringing this up because both of these comics and both of these shows and movies basically have African origins. So I want to talk about, let's start with you. Tell us how your personal origin story affected or inspired Iyanu from Child of Wonder.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Lagos, Nigeria, and I think for me, growing up, obviously, I think like many people here, I fell in love with Marvel, DC, X-Men, Spider-Man, Transformers, pretty much everything that I think we all know and love. But I think for me, even from a very young age, I wanted to create these stories from an African perspective, specifically Nigerian. And even as a kid, it felt like a pipe dream because growing up, I didn't see people that looked like me, not necessarily even as the characters. I think what people forget, so what people don't think about is it's even worse not seeing yourself as the one creating it because it gives you this impression that you don't belong in the industry and you can't be put in a position where you can actually create these type of stories. So when I moved over to the United States, I think for me, being closer to the entertainment industry gave me the courage to finally actually take a step and come out and just try. Because in my mind, I was like, look, what's the worst that could happen? You try, you fail, you either learn or you move on to something else. And to cut a long story short, I started my comic book company in 2015. My first book, EXO, The Legend of Wally Williams, was featured on CNN, BBC, Forbes, New York Times, The Washington Post. And I think it was then that I realized that it wasn't just people that looked like me that wanted to see African stories, told through the lens of superheroes and fantasy stories. It was literally everybody from around the world. So I quit my full-time job since then, and I have to go back.
Woo! Yeah!
So David, I did bring up your name, Harriet, and I personally know the story, and I think it's hilarious. So I need you to tell everybody else how Harriet Tubman, Demon Slayer, was inspired by Ghana and chicken.
Fried chicken, everyone.
Fried chicken.
From KFC, specifically KFC.
Make it make sense.
No, so I think like 2014, my background is in acting, and I auditioned I had gone to the last round of auditions for this independent movie called Star Wars: The Force Awakens. And I didn't get the part of some dude named John Bodega. That's right. Davis and Salty, that's right. I should have been Finn. Should have been me. That should have been me harassed by toxic fans. That should have been me.
We protect Finn in this house. Don't do it.
Okay, no, he's actually really cool and super nice. No. So I didn't get the part. So I was doing I should have been grateful that I got to audition, right, for this, iconic series. So my family was like, hey, you've never been to Ghana, you need to travel and get to know your roots and stuff. So I moved to Ghana, basically packed my stuff and lived there for 4 months and loved it. Amazing, beautiful experience. The best jollof rice and so one day, I think I got KFC. The KFC is amazing. It is immaculate. The seasoning is amazing in Ghana, West Africa. And I was eating fried chicken in Ghana, West Africa, the blackest sentence ever uttered. As soon as I said that, Okupe just manifested, Anywho, so the blackest sentence ever uttered. Watching this Harriet Tubman, I told you the blackest sentence ever uttered. And Harriet Tubman, they had traced her roots back to Ghana, Accra, and that was no one knew that, and they really appreciate Harriet Tubman in Ghana, West Africa because of that. So they had this documentary from PBS playing. I'm watching that. And then I was channel surfing, and I landed on the ending of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and it was the katana fight scene with Michelle Yeoh and Zhang Zi. And then after that, I turned on this other movie called House of the Witch Hunters, and I was really excited to watch this movie, but it was terrible, it was garbage, it was trash. No disrespect, because it's hard to make stuff. It's really now that I'm behind it, it's really hard to make a thing. Right, so I feel bad. The movie did resonate. I find it inspiring.
You don't apologize. It was terrible. Go ahead.
It's really hard to make something.
No, it was very hard to make, but it was still not very good.
It wasn't very good. It was jury runner was I gotta pay. This is a check.
You filmed it.
So anywho, I'm writing in my journal because this is my first time being outside the country ever. And the 3 things that stood out in my journal were Harriet Tubman, katana fight scene, and witch hunters. And I was like, wait, what if Harriet Tubman knows martial arts and beats up a racist werewolf? I don't know. And it was Harriet Tubman, Demon Slayer. and I didn't know what it was. It was like, I'm like, yeah, what? That's what she was.
Yep.
Exactly what she was. But I wasn't sure. I'm like, is it? Because it could be anything, really. That could be a video game. That could be.
Plus, you didn't know it was going to be a comedy.
I didn't know it was going to be.
You just had the
comedy.
concept.
I had the concept.
Okay.
4'11", Harriet Tubman, but it's the choreography of Crouching Tiger, where she's beating up like werewolves and demons and vampires, and have it kind of be a mixture of Django Unchained meets Buffy, but have it be grounded in Harriet Tubman's biography, because we at that time we still hadn't like seen like what her life was like. So I came back to the States and
Wait. What was in that chicken? Or is chicken?
you have oregano seasoning, parsley seasoning. You let it marinate for 30 minutes to a day, and I'm just, I have no idea. but it's Ghanaian KFC. It is delicious. But yeah, that's how I got the idea, and then decided to make it a comic book because I saw a book called Words for Pictures by Brian Michael Bendis, who's like my favorite comic book writer and creator. And I was like, oh, I'm making a comic book. Like I've been a comic book fan my whole entire life. Like with, Superman's my favorite. Batman, Spider-Man, X-Men. Those are all my favorites. And spent a year researching the real life Harriet Tubman. And also in that year learning how to write comic books. And because I know how to do comics as a fan, but the narrative thing, kinetic and actually doing it, that's a whole other thing. And then rewatch all of Buffy from season 1 just to get underneath, because it should be in that tone. And then rewatch Django, and I'm gonna mix these two things together, and then research all of Harriet's life. Because for me, I gotta just connect to who the lead is, and just find like a thing that hooks me to them. It's something that just makes them quirky in a way. But it was hard to do because it's Harriet Tubman. This is like the serious time, and we've always seen her be serious. So I was like, there had at least be something else, or else it's just one note.
Yeah.
There hadn't been anything of nuance. It was like, I'm a strong black woman who saves black people, and that's it. And I was like, no, there's
That's like a Tuesday in Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's like regular day. But then the thing, and I connected with her Tuesday in Brooklyn. So I connected with her biographers, and they gave me some stuff to use. One of the passages was Harriet was leading this family to freedom, and it was a stressful time because Harriet Tubman's identity had leaked, and there was a bounty on her head. It's a really stressful time. And this father, he's really stressed out, and he has a panic attack. And he doesn't know he's having a panic attack because he thinks he's in danger to his whole family. And Harriet, this guy's making a lot of noise. Harriet walks up to this man, and everyone's like, oh shit, she's gonna shoot him. And she puts her hands on this guy's shoulders, and she starts to talk to him. And then she makes him laugh, and then he calmed down. And I was like, wait, that's it. Iyanu, the hit series, the #1 viewed series.
So help me out. Harriet Tubman TV series is going to be series or a movie?
It's going to be a TV show.
It's gonna be a TV show.
Okay, so
A
it's
TV show you can watch.
And it's live action?
Yes.
Okay. And have you already started casting and everything like that?
We're talking.
Are you
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, are you in development? Are you in
We're
development?
talking. We may be talking to someone who might be Harriet.
Okay.
Watch who's following me on Instagram. That's all I gotta say.
Oh my
goodness. You'll know it.
So so tell us about Killer Bee, your other project.
So Killer Bee is about this retiring assassin who meets this it's DeWanda Wise is playing her in the movie. And she's this badass John Wick assassin. She's retiring and she meets this dorky Winston Duke type of guy in her apartment building. And at first she's like, oh, this dude's kind of corny, he's like a dork, but she starts to like him. And they go on a date, and then they start dating. They fall in love, and she's like really happy because she's like putting being an assassin behind her. She's gonna start her new life, you know, black love, it's all great. And then she gets her final hit, and it's Winston Duke. And she's like, no, because like she's in love with this man. Because if you don't deliver in this world, in Killer Bee, if you don't deliver on your hit, they send an army of assassins after you. But she's really good at being an assassin. She's like, people are coming to kill us, but I'm going to kill them first. So it's like John Wick superimposed over a romantic comedy. And I was doing it only as a comic book. It was just going to be a comic book. And I think I tweeted it randomly to people. And I was like, oh, this is my next comic book, you know, whatever, really excited about it. And it had some of the art. And then Patton Oswalt saw it. And he just said, oh, this looks cool. He hit retweet.
He just like skipped over that.
I didn't skip over that.
Patton Oswalt.
Yeah, Patton Oswalt, no big deal.
Don't know, he's an actor and producer.
Just a dude.
And this was,
really nice.
To young people who don't know, this is when Twitter was Twitter and not the dumpster fire that it is now.
Yes.
And we used to have discourse on there and discuss things. Right? It's kind of getting there, but it's really not like it was. Like, I really miss the old Twitter. Moment of silence.
Artist formerly known.
The artist formerly known as Twitter. But this is when a lot of these conversations would happen. And then literally somebody who was a star or very well connected could just pop into your comments and these things could happen. So he tweeted out, this looks amazing.
Yeah, he tweets it out that this looks really cool. And then my literary manager was calling me. He's like, dude, what's happening? I keep getting calls about Killer Bee. There's like 3 different studios who are like, you know, fighting over this. And I was just like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, like you need to get on the phone and we're gonna have a conversation. This is gonna be like a thing. And I know DeWanda, like I know her personally, just from being an actor and stuff. And I just kind of sent her a text like, hey, this is gonna be a thing. Would you want to be in it? And she was like, yeah, sure, okay. And I was like, all right, cool. So it was Confluential Films, which is owned by Tommy Oliver, Black-owned studio, started out making documentaries, independent film, and then they got this amazing, I think, grant loan from Goldman Sachs, like $500 million. And they were like, we want to make action, like big budget films, so we want to help co-finance this project. And we were working with another, I can't say who the other company was, but it was going to be co-financed with this other big billion-dollar company. And they didn't want DeWanda to be the lead.
They had their own lead in mind, probably.
Yeah, they wanted, I think, Tessa Thompson to be the lead, who's also great, but I just feel DeWanda was better cast.
They wanted a bigger name. I mean, people and that happens a lot in these situations where they're looking at, if we're going to give you $1 billion, we would like to give you who's going to be in the show. And to this, I don't think there's just any slight to DeWanda. Do you think it was really more of, this is our buddy, this is who we'd like to...
Oh yeah, this is like, I think that they also have a relationship with that particular person. And so, but then they agreed and came around to DeWanda, but then they were like, hey, this should be a TV show. It shouldn't be a movie. And DeWanda had just come off of doing, this was like 2-3 years ago. Like DeWanda had just done Jurassic World Dominion and was just made $1 billion, and she's the lead of this $1 billion movie. So I'm like, and DeWanda is just trying to make more feature films at this time. It still is. It still continues to do movies. And they were saying like, yeah, we want this to be a TV show, not a movie. And even Confluential came in and said, yeah, no, this is a movie. This is a new franchise. You should treat it as such. And then they just walked away. And I was like, oh no, I guess it's not happening. So let me just, live my life. And that's what happens. Sometimes these things fall apart, and for good reason. And then
sometimes it's not. It's
most of the time. Especially if you black. Especially if you black, it's like, listen, Negro, you're gonna do what we say.
Listen, when you said Goldman Sachs gave $500,000 to a black-owned company, I'm like, not 2025. So we're lucky that you got that when you did it.
Before DEI.
There you go. So, but I want to talk a little bit more about the development of your show, because just like he had people that were in his corner, and Patton Oswalt was tweeting it out. You got it from comic, Iyanu, from comic to animated series. There must have been a person or people who helped that happen.
Yeah, I don't have a KFC chicken story, but on a more serious note,
Fried chicken, no big deal.
He's like, I don't have KFC chicken, but my jollof is better.
I don't eat fried chicken like this big back Negro next to me.
I didn't say that, you did. But no, seriously, seriously.
Am I have to sit in between you two?
It's an African thing, it's fine.
Okay, back to the show.
So who helped you?
Yeah.
Helped you getting out and developed into an animated series?
I think
Water, are you okay?
I think before I go to who helped me, I want to sort of frame this, because I know people are here to understand how, David and I have been able to get to this point. And it's funny, I know what it's like to be on the other side of this, the table here and listening and wanting to get actual facts. One of the things that I try to do with my stories, like I try not to lie to people. This was a very long and hard journey. And I think it's important to understand that, trying to say this in the most diplomatic way, it's important to understand what you're signing up for. In 2008, I released my first animated short film. Please don't Google it, it's very terrible.
It's on YouTube, you'll find it, it's called EXO, it's amazing.
I said that, but I said that to just frame how long.
Then you did Malika, which is also very good.
I said that to frame just how long. I said that to frame just how long it takes to get to someone like this. And I'll never forget, in 2019, I had just gotten out of, I think it was a pitch where, I think it was like my 7th or 8th pitch that year, and it was another no. And it's funny, I had a producer at a streaming company, because I was pitching Iyanu, and their excuse for not wanting to move forward was that I ripped off Black Panther.
Which is wild, because when you watch the show, it's nothing like Black Panther.
And I think,
I
again,
thought that was I'm like, so they're just both black, is that it?
Yeah, again, I didn't say that, you said it. But again, to me, it was very depressing to hear that was why, I wasn't going to be moving forward. Because it wasn't even a thing about, the story isn't good, your characters suck. It was someone thinking that I had ripped off something else just because my character was the same skin color as a popular character. So I wanted to quit in 2019. I was done. At that point in time, I had been, in between jobs, trying to do this on the side, do this full time, do something else on the side. And I remember my wife, I was supposed to go because at that point I used to attend maybe 14 to 16 conventions and like shows a year. I just used to, every month, just go somewhere. And there was this event in London, it's called Content London, in 2019 in December. I got an invite to go.
I remember this, because you asked me, like, do you think I should go to
Yeah.
Or should I
I was
go to
asking,
Content London? I'm like, what?
Yeah, exactly. And
What's
I was
your comic book? Why are you going to London? What's going on?
Yeah, I was like, what the heck? I don't need this. Or I'm like, as a matter of fact, I'm just going to quit. Like, whatever. I'll just go back to being a software engineer and make a lot of money, which I was doing before I got into this. And then my wife just said, go, just go. And she was like, what if this is the time? I was like, whatever, get out of here. I didn't say that to her. I wouldn't be here to be.
No, I've met his wife, and he would never. I've met his wife. Shout out to me.
But yeah, I was like, I don't want to do it. She's like, just go. I was like, okay, so I got the tickets, I went. And then I got to the show. I didn't even go for any of the events. I was just staying in the hotel room because it's going to be the same old thing. Someone's going to see me, they're going to like, what do you want, blah, 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 blah. We'll exchange numbers and then I'll email and then nobody will get back to me for 6 months. So I was like, whatever. So I remember someone texting me and like saying, I'm in the lobby, I want to see you. I've heard about you, I read some of your books. And I just thought, you know what, okay, I'll just go downstairs. So I went downstairs to the lobby and I met this lady called Erica Motley. She's a producer and she had worked up until that point for Warner Brothers in HBO. And she was like, tell me about this, I've been hearing about your comic book, Iyanu. And I was like, the book is not even out yet. So it was like, just show me anything. So I brought up my iPad and I started scrolling through pictures and immediately she fell in love and she was like, I need to make this into an animated series. And I kid you not, that was the connect, that was the first step because Erica then introduced me to Lionforge, she introduced me to Cartoon Network and Max at that point in time, brought all of those people together, and that was how the genesis of Iyanu started in development. And I say this too, because I want to encourage...
Also, Erica is a Black woman.
Yes.
That's also mentioned. Erica, she happens to be an investor.
As well.
Just happened to see and was looking for stuff like this. Her company is Impact X.
And again, she also went further because to prove that she was really invested, she got her company to invest in my company first before we even started developing Iyanu. So they came on board as an investor in my company. And again, the whole reason why I'm telling this story is you never know.
Yeah. Right.
You just never
know.
know.
The story is actually listen to Black women.
Yeah, I mean, and that too. But again,
your wife, listen to Erica,
Listen to Black women.
me.
Again, and I'll say this, and
don't tell your black wife to shut up.
Yeah, anybody record that, please don't post that on social media. Well, no. Again, on a more serious note, and I'll end with this. Like I said, I know what it's like to try and try and try and try, especially when you're a person of color, you're a minority, you feel like you always have to do it 10 times better to just get your foot in the door. But I'm here to encourage you. I feel like the role that the two of us play is to show you that it's possible. But you have to define your own version of success. It doesn't have to be the way we've done it, it doesn't have to be, everybody's story is different. But my job here, as outside of telling you how it's done, is to let you know that it can be done.
Yes.
The other thing that both of you have also brought up is that you couldn't do it alone.
Absolutely.
So at what point, because you both started your comics independently and things like that, and you both dropped little things earlier. You talked about your literary agent, you talked about, I think you mentioned your manager.
Yes,
so at what point did you say, I need a manager, I need a literary agent, how did you get them?
I'll say something real quick. The first thing you should do as a creator or a creative person, please get a lawyer.
Oh yeah, I was going to say legal is also.
Please get a lawyer as the moment you create anything. The moment you create anything or somebody says they want to do anything, I don't care if they're your friend, I don't care if they're your mother, you get a lawyer. I have gotten into so much trouble just going into deals as a person and trusting people. I once had someone come to me and rip me off of $4,000 and they told me they were going to make a movie for me. I signed a very stupid contract. I paid them money so that they could review my work and tell me whether or not it was good enough.
No.
This is how stupid I was then. So
well,
I mean,
you didn't know.
yeah, I was also stupid. Like, I was also bad.
You were not listening to Black women.
Oh yeah, exactly, yes. Moral of the story, listen to Black Girl. But yes, please always get a lawyer as soon as possible.
And also, I'm just going to second that, but I'll send an NDA to my family members. I don't care. I don't play. And I think we get caught up in that. Well, they're a friend. Yeah, until you got to take them to court. So do the simple things like, I trust you, this is how I do business. If they're really your friend, they'll sign it. It's just that simple. I'm not saying you give them a 10-page contract. I'm just saying simple things like NDAs, if you're sending things out. Also, I'm just going to say this as a person who receives a lot of these things, stop sending your comics and your storyboards to companies. Hey, look at my work. We can take it, and there's nothing you can do. I have not done this, but I'm just saying it can happen because you're literally, there's as I say, I'm sorry, there's rules to this shit. Like, you literally need to, you should have if you're interested in an inquiry or something like that, we'll get into that in a second. But if you have a lawyer and you are interested in contacting somebody, oh, I have a show, I have a concept, and that company gets back to you, then you and your lawyer get back to that person, you and your agent, or your manager. You're not just sending them your stuff. I've seen so many really good things just get emailed to companies, and literally there's nothing to stop them from just taking it and running with it. Like, oh, this looks good. But legally they're not supposed to do that. But I can't say that everybody's gonna follow that. So for you, how did you get your literary agent, or when did you decide, okay, I need some help here?
Yeah, I think when we were getting into some of the not heavy moments of like Harriet, but they kind of were like, hey, we think you should show run this and co-write. Because before I was just a creative consultant, like I wasn't going to be in the writer's room or anything like that. And
that didn't bother you, you didn't have a problem with that?
Well, I was intimidated by it because it's like, you know,
for saying that, I'll be honest. Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, because you have people who have Emmys are in the room now, and you're like, I read comic books. You know, it like reminds me of like, there's a funny thing. There's like this.
Syndrome is real.
There's this funny meme. It shows like a bunch of like human adults at the table, but then it shows like Elmo, and it's like me with imposter syndrome. Like that's how it feels. And
not
it's
Elmo.
like, like a Muppet, like not even like a person, right? Because like, you know, I walk into a room, it's like, oh, like even with Killer Bee, you know, like Terry is an Academy Award nominated writer, and he created like these $billion franchises. And he's like, David, is this good? Is this good enough? And I was like, yes, bitch, it is good enough. But he's like, nah, I feel like I'm not getting something. And I was like, I gotta give notes to an Academy Award like nominated writer. And then I called my middle school literature teacher, and I was like, hey, I gave notes to an Academy Award nominated writer. Now who's delving into their psyches? Yeah.
So no, and honestly, and I've seen that happen, and it can be very intimidating, but honestly, when you walk in the room, nobody knows that.
Yeah.
And I need everybody to channel their mediocre white boy. I really do. Channel it like, listen, I don't know, but I'm just gonna do this. Because I think I have been in this position as well. I don't have anything serious or anything like that, but I'm saying I've been in situations where, do they know that I had literally have no idea what's going on? You know, but I can't tell you, when you said being on this side of the table, being on the corporate side of this, there are so many people that don't know what they're doing in entertainment. It's bananas. Like, so I've been in meetings and I'm like, how did you get dressed this morning? How? And you're running a company, not lying for it, I'm just saying. But there's so many times that I've been in meetings with executives, and you would think like, oh wow, all these people have it buttoned up because they have all these awards and all these things, all these letters after their name. They don't know what's going on. Their assistants doing all the work, their producers doing all the work. They literally don't even know what meeting they're in. So, if that will help a little bit with the imposter syndrome, you know.
Oh yeah.
But now you are a showrunner, and I actually want to ask you about the showrunner question too. So you are showrunning.
Yes.
Harriet, Tubman, Demon Slayer. Now, do you have like a co-showrunner? Do you have somebody who's like or is there somebody that you go to say, okay, I don't know what this means. Help me.
I am partnered. Oh man, like we're not allowed to say who it is.
You can't say who it is.
I can't say who it is.
Just say the title.
I'm co-showrunning it with an experienced black writer who is a name, who is like when they walk in, you're like, oh, it's that person.
That's good.
And mostly because when you're showrunning, it's not just the writing and the storytelling. It's as if you're trying to paint a beautiful painting, do your taxes, and change a baby's diaper while you're inside a building that's on fire, and you have 20 minutes to get it done.
I can't believe how accurate that is, though.
Yeah.
The way I see, that scene from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man when he has all these webs and he's trying to stop the train from it. That's what the
yeah.
Like literally.
Exactly that. And and I've never done this before, and it's millions of dollars that they're throwing at you, and they won't say it, but there's an undercurrent of like better get this right, Negro. We won't have another choice in editing, bro. Remember.
There is pressure.
He's like, we're writing these checks. We're white.
But I
I voted for Kamala. I'm not racist.
Oh my God.
There's that undercurrent in the room.
So Roye, did you feel that undercurrent in the room, or what was it like? This is also your first time.
Yes, it is. You're a trip, man.
Yes.
No, I think
That's what I'm about to. That's what I knew there was somebody in the audience who would need that question answered.
I think the right question is what isn't a showrunner?
Right.
Because
Okay.
you
So
really
let's just break it down for the other. This is the other thing. It means different things for animation than it does for live action.
Yeah.
So let's start with basics, like director. Everyone in the room kind of knows what a director does, right? For a film. What does a director do on an animated show?
On an animated show, a director leads a team of storyboard artists, and his job is to take the script and basically just transform that into moving pictures. Like the overall vision of that episode or a series of episodes is what the director is responsible for.
Okay, and an executive producer, that's the other thing. Executive producer can mean a bunch of things. It can mean you funded this, or you have a leading role, it's in your contract to just get that title. So what does an executive producer mean on the TV live action side?
You're basically watching everything. And it could mean like, okay.
You're not doing the creative work, but you're watching
You can
it.
somewhat dip into the creative work, but it's like, are we gonna film Harriet, Tubman, Demon Slayer in Louisiana? Or it's actually cheaper if we film in Canada.
Okay.
Or actually, it's probably better if we do it in Atlanta, because we don't have to fly in extras and stuff. Or okay, let's do it in London, and like Bishop can change the accents up. And then I'm like, no, I want to kind of like, since this is an American story, maybe keep it in America, Louisiana. But it's like, Dave, we're filming on these cameras, and the cameras might melt, or things might happen because Louisiana is really swampy and stuff. Or even like right now, it's like, who's going to be Harriet? This person has 10 million followers on Instagram. Let's get them for it. And I'm like, yeah, but they might not be the right fit for it. This person has 10,000 followers, and they're an amazing actress. I saw her on Broadway, or I saw her on this TV show. She should be Harriet. Or even just looking at scripts of like, we're gonna reveal this thing in episode 8. But I'm like, it's better if we reveal it in episode 2.
So what is executive producing in animation?
Well, I mean, it can mean different things, right? And most of the time, the showrunner is also an executive.
No, not
sure. Yeah. But so for animation executive, I know we'll talk about showrunner after. It's pretty much similar, right? So if you're, for instance, if you're funding, or if you're part of the financiers, you become a showrunner. Sometimes an executive producer is, like you said, someone that's consulting, that maybe created a graphic novel and now they're consulting as an executive producer. Sometimes it's just somebody that knows somebody that's like, hey, I want to be on this, put me as an executive producer. There's so many different iterations of what an executive producer can be, but typically what it means is that you are sort of like an umbrella above, you're looking at things from a 20,000 feet view.
And you're decision maker.
You're
not day-to-day with the storyboard.
Exactly.
You're looking at like, okay, but we might need another team
to
start doing, like
money.
If we're behind on this scene, we might need to get another team of animators in another country.
Exactly. Or we might need to fire this person.
Because it was like 10 countries that had animators working on
Absolutely.
to get it done on time. There's all over the world.
Yeah.
So let's come back to the showrunner question. What's a showrunner in a live action? You can do this.
It's literally it's like you're still in charge of all like the storytelling aspects, and you set the tone of what the series is going to be, and it's going to challenge your empathy and leadership skills, and especially your communication skills under pressure and under a short amount of time, because you can't like just be like an artist. Again, you gotta think, okay, it's like, okay, we're giving you $50 million, all right? Here's $50 million, you got 2 months to get this done. But
it kind of sounds like you're an executive producer, but in the weeds.
Yeah, you're in the weeds of it, and then either an actor might get, well, maybe not in your case, Like an actor might get sick, and it's like, oh, but we still gotta tell this story because it sets up season 2. And it's like, wait, are we even greenlit for season 2? Yeah. It's like, well, let's pretend we're greenlit for season 2.
But that decision needs to be made.
Exactly.
So the showrunner is really dealing on a live action day to day, and like the director answers to them, and
yeah, director answers to them, the crew answers to them. Even to the point, okay, this is Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer with like martial arts people fighting.
Yeah.
Do the stunt doubles have the same skin tone as this dark-skinned black woman?
Mm-hmm.
You know, or are we gonna have to use again with like Killer Bee? You know, Dawanda's like, do we have a stunt double that looks like Dawanda? Or it's not a weird thing where, you know, Dawanda's doing a fight scene, and then it looks like Tessa Thompson for 5 seconds. Like,
right,
like,
yeah.
Why is Harriet Tubman like light skinned for 5 seconds? and then it goes back. It's little things like that. It's like, hey, we want this stunt double, but they're working on Black Panther. They can't be available. Yada yada yada. I'm like, well, can they be available?
Right. Can we wait for them? That kind of
yeah,
thing. And the schedule about it.
Yeah.
Kind of
This like knowing the schedules, knowing who's available, knowing the shoot times, but it's also what makes it flow is over preparation before you get to game day.
Yeah.
It's like planning how the scripts and the stories are going to flow, and having it be so airtight that if something like shakes up,
Yeah.
okay, we can do it like this instead.
Now, in terms of show running on Iyanu, it's animated.
Yes.
So this is why I stopped you, because I know on animation, the executive producer and showrunner kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
But it sounds like show running on an animated series, you are in the weeds. And you are is it like directing, or are you directing the directors?
So, I think animation or live action, a showrunner is many things. There's a counselor, a politician, a dictator sometimes, a maid. Like, I'm serious. This sounds like a joke, but you have to wear, so think of it like this, right? So you've seen the orchestra and you see the conductor, like that's what a showrunner is. But imagine doing that and then the person that's supposed to be playing the cello faints. Then you have to do this and play the cello at the same time. And then that person gets better and then the person on the piano falls sick. Then you run there. So you're literally running the show. That's why you're called a showrunner. You literally run. So yes, you direct directors. If a director for some reason, either leaves or gets fired, you may have to direct the episode. If an executive producer gives notes, like right before an episode is supposed to be done, you go in and you rewrite the script, right? So you're literally responsible for every creative aspect from beginning to end.
And because of this, so many showrunners are almost always executive producers,
Yes.
which is why you never see a credit for a showrunner.
Exactly.
You see a credit for executive producer. So when the credits roll, it's like, why have I never seen that in the credits? Because they're usually an executive producer. And they can't say executive producer, director, maid, financier, dictator, all of the things. They can't say all that. They just say executive producer. But so the word executive producer has many meanings, but almost always, if you're looking at a TV show, the first name that comes up as executive producer has the money, and the second one that comes up is usually the showrunner. If you're looking at a TV show, film depends on how they do it.
Yeah, it's all different. Sometimes, like the way you negotiate your contract is where you appear.
And sometimes an actor will have their name up there because that was in their contract. I will get executive producer credit because I am a member of the production guild, and especially in live action.
Yeah, Dawanda's an executive producer on Killer Bee because she has, we just had a call about like the script, and even now we're like interviewing directors, and I wanted her to have that because this is her first, she's in almost every single scene in Killer Bee, and it's also her first like action, like lead role, like definitive lead. It's all surrounding her, and also, so I want her to feel comfortable. So we pushed for that, and even I want her to feel comfortable with whoever's going to direct her in this, because this is though she's a pro, this is new territory for her, and so she had a lot of input on the script and the screenplay, and it has been there from the treatment aspect of it to full script, and even the 3 directors we're talking to right now. And yeah.
So I want to just read the room for a second, because it is about to be 5 o'clock, and I know we can go a little bit later, because I was told, but I don't want to keep everybody here all night. We are going to take some questions, but I'm going to ask them a couple more questions, if that's okay.
Yes.
Is there going to be a mic that goes around for the questions, or are people just going to yell them out? I don't care, I'm just asking. Okay, so in the back there is a mic, and when we get ready for that, they will pass that to you so you can ask a question. So my last couple questions are, one, how did you learn the most? Did you learn most from other people, or did you learn more from mistakes and failures? Or was it the same thing?
So I was very lucky to be, one of the things that was very attractive about Lion Forge is that, you know, their mission pretty much aligns with mine, right? So Lion Forge's mission is diverse stories authentically told. So they are actually very intentional about putting people of color in positions of leadership. So I was very lucky to be surrounded by experienced people. For instance, supervising director Vincent Edwards, line producer, you know, Kathy Page Cohen, even Brandon Easton, who was a story editor as well too. So I learned a lot from the experience around me, but there's absolutely nothing in this world that can prepare you for being a showrunner. I don't care how many books you read, I don't care how many courses you take. It's just one of those things where you have to jump in.
And the moment you sit there and everybody turns around and looks at you for an answer, and you're like,
yes.
Oh.
Yes, I think you learn a lot. You learn most by crying. That's just part of the job. That's
Crying. You learn to pay. I think like before, I was a waiter for like 10 years, and I think I was a waiter at Olive Garden. But that'll prepare you to be a showrunner. No, but because it's like you're dealing with, because all your customer service skills have to like come out in a big way, and how you listen to people.
Being diplomatic.
Yeah, being diplomatic.
You can't punch them.
You can't punch them because like I want to hit you, but I need to make rent. You know, so I think it's a little bit of that, because you're dealing with different types of people and different types of egos. You know, some people might need to be coddled, and you want to say, I got time for this. It's like, oh, you can't do that. You have to really be as zen and grounded as possible. Take your ashwagandha, take your ashwagandha, take your ashwagandha, try to get some sleep. And I think Prentice told me this. He was like, this is what you need to be a showrunner and a writer. He was like, you need a gym membership. You need someone to, you know, if you're making good enough money, have someone clean your apartment, because you ain't gonna have time. Things are gonna literally fall by the wayside. Try to get therapy. I
think everybody in the industry needs therapy.
Yeah, therapy, and also be nice to yourself. He's like, I don't care how, because he told me a secret about Insecure, that's out now. It's over.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, we told HBO, you know, we're supposed to be in that office 5 days a week, and it's like 14-hour days.
Yep.
But he was like, every Friday, depending on what we've solved, every Friday we have a writer's day, and they just go out. They don't write on Fridays. And I'm like, what if you haven't figured stuff out? He's like, this is a stressful thing. We need to, the reason why if we don't figure it out, then we don't do it on Friday. But we always figure it out. And I think that kind of motivates everyone to do their best work.
And I also want to point something out. Not just
y'all got paid to go skiing?
And I don't want to romanticize this, because, you know, having a lot of these doing this work is really hard. But all of the production companies that are creating your projects are not only independent, but they're Black owned. Onyx is owned by Princess, and the Killer Bee company, Confluential is Black owned, Lion Forge is Black owned, and they all at the top made the effort to do things like he just mentioned. So when people go like, how do you get to do this, and how do you, the wonderful thing that I do think is happening, which is it's not great. The anti-DEI thing sucks. But one thing that I do think is happening is that so many stars and other people, black stars, and not just black, in every ethnicity, are making their own production companies and trying to help find young creators. So that stigma of, oh, it's not Hollywood, so it's probably not quality, I think that stigma's going away because so many really talented people who've been at the top. I mean, listen to Taraji, like that are still. I mean, I had a conversation with Yvette Nicole Brown, who was complaining that she still can't get a makeup artist sometimes. Still can't get. I'm like, she was a star, like a star, and she's still struggling with getting just hair and makeup. You know, so I think that we're entering this new era. Now, before we get to questions, I just want you to tell everybody where we can find you and follow you.
You can follow me on all of these many social media platforms at Unique Studios, YOUNEEK, the word studios. But please just watch me on Max. That's all I ask. Please don't forget about me on social media. Just go on Max.
No, don't forget about him. We need him too.
Go on Max and binge the entirety of Iyanu, all 10 episodes, and you won't regret it.
Just have him play in the background if you're busy.
Yes,
all right?
I take that too.
Just have him play in the background. That's how that goes a long way. You can follow me at Crownson. You can also follow my company, Kingwood_Comics. Please watch Killer Bee when it comes out in 2027. We might take that Avengers spot. I don't know. It was like a joke, but I was like, oh wait, I'm serious.
And you can find me, the Blerd Girl, THEBLERDGURL, on most platforms, but please, like Roye said, please check out the Iyanu series, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We are on X. We don't do much on X, but we're there. And I think that one of the things that I need everybody to do is, yes, watch the show, but we need you to upvote the show. We need you to go to IMDb and say how much you like the show. We need you to go to Google and say, oh, this is a great show. Because people can say, and we're having this problem now. We're like the #1 Cartoon Network, and not many people know that. We're in the top 10 of kids and family shows on Max, and nobody's talking about it. So we thank you, but we can't do that. We need to be able to tell everybody.
There's so many fake accounts I can make too.
Oh my God. But the point I'm trying to make is, even if we're not looking at Hollywood and we're looking at parents and other people that we want to see the show, I know if you're a parent and you're like, oh, I want my kid to watch the show, you want to see what other people think of the show. So please, please, please watch it repeatedly and then comment and upvote it and give it stars. And I'm not mad if you do an Instagram post or something. So questions, we're gonna take a few of these before, and by the way, these guys are gonna stick around to sign their books, which are in the bookstore, right after this. So we'll be upstairs in the lobby signing books. So, okay, I saw somebody over here, okay, yes, you.
Can we yell?
Yeah, I think he's got a mic, if you can reach it.
Oh, girl, yeah.
Thank you.
my God.
That's fine. But thank you for calling out entertainment attorneys. We are very important.
And we need to talk.
We do need to talk. We should talk. But in any case, something that attorneys cannot do, even though we do have a large part in the development of art and things like that, with these companies that we work for, we cannot make business decisions, like casting decisions. So I wanted to ask, what you kind of alluded to when you were talking about casting DeWanda Wise versus Tessa Thompson, there might be some unspoken additional things that larger companies might be thinking about when they're looking at somebody like Tessa versus DeWanda. So what are you doing now that you're kind of in spaces where you do have a lot more of an advocacy ability and you are able to talk about casting decisions and really consider these things that are pertinent to your community that might not be known by the larger entities in this space? How have you found that you have a greater ability to advocate for casting that is more realistic to your vision, to your characters that you've created, or do you feel like you're still in some cases like handcuffed or beholden to the whims of a larger studio?
I think you both have good answers to this, actually.
Yeah. Be first with us. I think you're really interesting. Cool.
Ghanaian Jollof first.
Oh,
Good.
not the jaws
Good.
again,
Not
my
the
God.
jaw, not
You
the-
go
not the
first.
best of
You
all.
go, oh my God, go first.
No, but I like, for me, I've always kind of been haunted by, the year before Apprentice, I got like a huge offer for Harriet, and they wanted to cast someone who was
Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson. It wasn't Scarlett
I'm
Johansson.
joking. I am so joking.
It might as well have been Scarlett Johansson. But they offered me like a lot of money. Like a lot, like more money than I've ever seen in my entire life. And they wanted to be Scarlett Johansson. It wasn't Scarlett Johansson. It was, okay, it was.
No.
No. I was gonna say it's dark skinned Scarlett Johansson.
Okay. Yeah,
She's dark white.
David.
I will never say. I signed an NDA. I can't say who it is.
I was gonna say this is what NDAs are for.
No, I can never say who it is, but it's someone, a world famous person, is all I can say. And it was a lot of money, and I was just like, hey, like this person also isn't really an actor. It was someone who could maybe rap and sing, but they're not. And I feel like this would be a problem on the Black Twitter spaces if this person is playing Harriet Tubman. You know, we already have a little bit of a hurdle that this might not be taken seriously because it's called Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer, but it should be taken seriously. And if we have, you know, dark-skinned Scarlett Johansson playing this, it's going to severely undercut it. You know, like I think we should be talking to, you know, maybe a Samira Wiley type of person. We should be talking to a Viola Davis type of person for this. And they were like, but this person has 100 million subscribers and stuff. And
just to be clear, you know why they do that, right? For marketing purposes. They have to pay less in marketing if the star already has a large following. Just wanted to clear that up. Okay.
yeah, so I just, you know, I talked to, though lawyers can't typically make those creative choices, my lawyer at the time, she's not my lawyer anymore because she got, you know, she inherited a big client, but she was my first lawyer, Nicole Compass at Rama Law, amazing lawyer. And she just said like, hey, like, this is a lot of money. She was gonna get 5% of negotiating this deal. But she just said like, hey, like, this is your baby. Money's gonna come and go, but you'll have to live with this for years. And you'll have to live with the fact that Scarlett Johansson played Harriet Tubman. It's not Scarlett Johansson.
So once again, listen to black women. Once again, listen to black women.
It's a light-skinned black woman, all right? I'm just saying
gosh.
Scarlett Johansson because it's funny.
So yeah, don't say anything. So
Yeah.
Roy,
Yes.
you were very specific in your casting choices,
Absolutely.
and I think that was a bit of a battle for you. If you could explain that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, so for me it was, it's a little different, right? There's not a lot of shows, animated shows that feature Nigerian culture on TV, period. So for me, it was a non-starter that if we were going to do this, we had to cast Nigerian voices. But this is where partnerships are crucial, right? If you partner with the wrong person, you can get stuck, right? So for me, the fact that I was partnered with Lionforge, I was empowered to say, I'm a Nigerian, born in Nigeria, doing a show that's based on Nigerian culture, which is for a global audience. But when the characters talk, they need to sound like Nigerians. And to me, anybody that comes back and says no to that, that person is the problem. So I think for me, once I framed it that way, it was easier. Because you have to also
The
understand.
world is called Yoruba land.
Yeah, but again, you have to understand, like people, the reason why people want to cast people that have 100 million followers, we live in an age now where people want something that's sure. It's harder to take risk from an executive position. So when people think like, oh, you're going to cast a all Nigerian cast, people going to understand them? Are they going to blah? Like, so there's a little bit of fear and trepidation that connects to money. It always, oftentimes, all about money. Like, how much are we going to make? That's sort of like the measure people use to make decisions in this industry. And I understand why. We're not here, we're not a charity. But again, I think for something like this, I wouldn't want to be a part of this if I couldn't stay true to my culture.
Okay, and I'm afraid we're not gonna take any more questions, I just got the, I can take one more. Okay, but wait, this person over here had their hand raised right after her.
I'm sorry, I was told that this doesn't go.
Okay, so do you mind if we answer your question after?
We can do two quick.
I can do two quick, okay, quick answers. So no, she's pointing them out for me, so I can't. So you first, and then,
No, he's
where are we, okay. We will still answer questions upstairs, by the way. They just gotta be signed before we do it.
Just real quickly, I appreciate all of you. Just real quickly, you kind of talked about it there in your last answers, but not revealing too much about yourselves. You stood your ground. You stood your ground on what you believed. Where'd that come from?
A black woman.
I mean, to me, it just, like what he said, right? Like, money comes and goes. This is a very hard realization to get to, by the way, because for so many of us, you go through this broke, right? Like, I mean, I know sometimes people like to, I don't want to use the word pretend, like comic books are hard. We don't make a lot of money, period. So when somebody offers you a lot of money, it's hard to say no, but it's a thing of pride, right? Do I want to be able to go back to my home country and have my character sounding, you know, like white people? That, to me, that's where the courage comes from. It's more, I need to honor the reason why I'm here, and not just take the cash and run.
And for me, it's like, I don't want to curse. Can I curse?
You've been cursing, I don't know why you asking me now.
I've been PG cursing it. I've been like already, okay, fuck it. Anyway, it's like, for them, I just say, you know, all right, fuck around and find out. Like, I think we should have, you want this person to play Harriet, I want this person to play Harriet for a specific reason. You know what, let's do a screen test. I propose and say it nicely. Say it nicely. You know, hey, let's have the both of them come in and let's see how it looks. And then like, well, our person's gonna do great. I'm like, all right. So anywho, we're all sitting down. Scarlett Johansson walks in, and like, so Scarlett Johansson, see Jurassic World or whatever it is, Reborn. Scarlett Johansson comes in, does Harriet Tubman. I'm like, hey, this doesn't look right. I'm like, see. And then my person comes in, and my person absolutely crushes it in the room, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe this Negro woman was better than Scarlett Johansson. and like, I guess we have to listen to David. And then you just sit there all quiet and like humble and all that good stuff.
But smiling, because
but smiling, because I told you Scarlett Johansson should have been called in.
Okay, so is that it for us? Is that, okay, that is it. We're gonna go upstairs. Thank you so much, everybody. This is real blast. And we will answer more questions while we're signing. And both of these gentlemen will be up there signing all of their books. Thank you so much.